Welcome to Roll Call, a 126th Air Refueling Wing podcast of the Illinois Air National Guard at Scott Air Force Base. I'm your host, Technical Sergeant Brian Ellison. The Roll Call podcast focused on people, mission, and community. Hello to our deployed friends. Thanks for listening to Roll Call. I know you guys are getting excited because you're coming home soon. Coming up, the Director of Psychological Health and her assistant, and because it was drill weekend, we'll have Ask an Airman question. We'll also hear from a member. We'll hear that member talk about his goals for the year in Ask an Airman. The combined federal campaign is going on now through January 15th. The campaign is, you can still donate even after that. The CFC is the world's largest and most successful annual workplace charity campaign with almost 200 CFC campaigns throughout the country and overseas, raising millions of dollars each year. Pledges made by federal, civilian, postal, and military donors during the campaign season will support eligible nonprofit organizations that provide health and human services benefits throughout the world. The Air Force plans to create a working group on mental health and resiliency to help combat suicide among airmen. Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Joanne Bass, said suicide prevention is a top priority for the Air Force, and the group plans on bringing together people working on these issues with airmen and families. The group will also include airmen directly affected by these issues who can provide examples of gaps in the system that need to be fixed. Chief Bass is looking into why an airman who attempted suicide last year was given a letter of reprimand and a letter of counseling. Though the airman has since separated, Chief Bass noted, "This situation gives us an opportunity to reflect on the culture we need where airmen understand their responsibilities as both leaders and airmen." Chief Bass went on to say, "A culture where respect, trust, accountability, and compassion guide our actions." Drill was just this past weekend, and our Ask an Airman question was, what are your goals for the 2021 year? Coming up on our interview with Linda Schuh, we'll talk about setting goals for the year. Also, if you can, you may want to watch this episode on YouTube to see Benji Cam. So I asked Senior Airman Randolph David, who just moved here from D.C., just came into the unit. Senior Airman David is with avionics in the maintenance group. I asked him what his goals are for 2021.
So my goal for the year is to apply to grad school and get accepted and start my new process with that.
What do you want to study?
Systems engineering and probably a master's and MBA as well. So I'm trying to see a systems engineering or MBA collab program. That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
Since I work on avionics systems now, which is essentially systems engineering, just more on the mechanical side, I'll apply that and maybe apply to be officer, maintenance officer. That's the direction I think I want to go with it. And then if I get the MBA as well, that'll help me teach me how to manage people, manage systems, and things like that.
Joining us today on Roll Call is Linda Schuh, the Director of Psychological Health, and Benji is here in the studio as well. Linda, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you. I appreciate the time, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about today about, psychological health, the program, the things that I do, and the things that Benji does, and we'll do a little bit of coping skills today for maybe a new goals and maybe for depression coping skills.
That's a good idea. What services do you provide? I kind of just thought you were a social worker. I didn't know you had a official title as you do. Director of Psychological Health. What services do you guys do you provide? I guess it's just you right now.
Right. It's just me currently, although we do have we have a mental health team coming on board through to traditional. There'll be military mental health. So we'll work together. But currently it's just myself. And you're right, I am just a social worker. So I have
You're not just I mean, social workers are very important. Don't let anybody say you're just a social worker. If I just said that, excuse me.
No, that's okay. But what I meant to say was, yes, the title is Director of Psychological Health, but I am a social worker in that role. I feel like it's a fancy way of saying I'm a social worker, but it is what it is. So, but here I am. And the services we provide are basically, so we do counseling, consultation, and referral. So the counseling, I can see anybody in the wing and their dependents for, say, 3 to 5 counseling sessions and give them coping skills and talk about how I can best help them. We also do consultations. So we do consultations for, if you came in and you weren't really sure what you needed, we could do a consultation. Commanders, first sergeants, chiefs can come in if they need suggestions about maybe how to deal with, their workers or, people that are with them, if any suggestions they might need. And then referrals. So if I can't help you, I'll try to find somebody who will. So I'll make referrals. I have connections in the community and with counseling and psychiatric referrals, psychiatrists, doctors, and things like that. So counseling, consultation, referral are the 3 things we provide.
And can people see you not just on drill weekends? Can they do that? If they want to see you on drill weekends, but they can't fit that into their schedule, can they come in during the weeks?
Yes. So my job is full time. I'm here. I have the same schedule that the technicians have during the week. So I'm here 7 to 4:30 every day, and I'm also here on drill weekends. Yeah, I spent 20 years, 5 years active duty, and 15 years in the Guard, and I retired, and the joke was, yay, I don't have to do drill weekends again. And lo and behold, I got my favorite job, and they said, hey, Linda, you got to do drill weekends. So here I am. Yes, you can see me on drill weekends and during the week.
Hey, but you don't have to put the uniform on anymore. That's kind of nice. You were Army, right?
Yes, I was military police, Army for 5 years.
And then you did 15 years in the Guard, you said?
Yes, 15 years in the Army National Guard as a administrative specialist. I worked with the GI Bill and the educational benefits up in Springfield.
Oh, God bless you for doing that. I did 11 years active in the Army and 6 years in the Guard. And then all of a sudden, a light shone on me and said, there's another way.
Yes.
So you've talked about the services that you provide. What is your role in deployments? And first, we'll talk about deployments. What's your role in that when people are heading out?
So when people are heading out for deployments, we do a pre-deployment briefing. So I come out and I introduce myself, and we also introduce Benji. I guess we'll talk a little bit about Benji later.
Sure, yeah.
And then, so we do a deployment briefing, and they tell them about maybe stress response, anxiety response, things like that, things to think about when they're deployed. And then just, kind of get to know them a little bit and let them know that they're dependents. So, the deployment can be hard on the dependent, whether it's a husband deploying or a wife deploying, and children too. So I can be there for them as well. And then when they deploy, so we do that. And then when they come back, if they're having any issues, any sleep issues, any post-traumatic stress disorder, things like that, they can come back and talk with me, and we can kind of get the ball rolling for treatment with them. So it's important to know, those services and where you can reach out to.
Oh, yeah. And what I've got to say is that it's great that you recognize that we have stress when we deploy. Back in 1994, 95, I deployed to Guantanamo for the Cuban boat lift, and we kept being told that we didn't have stress. You guys aren't stressed. I was like, what are you guys? It's nice to see. It seems like you've probably seen it too. Is this shift in the attitude towards mental health in the military, at least?
Yes, there's definitely a stress response when you're deployed, and I think we've come a long way from 1994.
Yeah.
I think they're an acceptance of, PTSD, depression, anxiety, stress, things like that. Although I will say, I've been a social worker for 20 years. I will say the military population is one of my favorites because we are disciplined, we are structured, things like that. We have our family, we have our deployment family, we have our work family, things like that. They are a little more higher functioning than some patients that I've had. So I do enjoy,
really?
Yeah. maybe you don't think so, but I enjoy working with the military population.
Oh, that's nice to hear that. And I'm sure it makes your job coming to work every day a little bit easier. Talking about, obviously we're talking with you about mental health, but one thing that's been big over the past 10 months, it feels like it's been forever, but COVID and all these restrictions that we're under, how has that affected the wing's mental health? Are you seeing a change? Is there anything, maybe a concern that out there that maybe something we can do to help with this? First off, just how has that affected mental health of COVID?
So COVID, yeah, we've been in this, it'll be, I guess, a year in March. And so I've seen, the trend that's come upon us is that a lot of people are more depressed. A lot of more people are at home. They have more time to think about, what they should be doing or shouldn't be doing. They have more marital problems because they're with their spouse more. They're trying to keep up with the house. They're trying to keep up with their kids' schooling. Again, they have more time to think, and then they're overwhelmed. So we're seeing a lot of stress response. We're seeing a lot of depression. I would say my caseload has probably increased by about 35%, 40%
Wow.
since we've had COVID. So seeing a lot more people in the wing, some dependents, things like that, which is, good for job security, but we want people to be well. But they are reaching out and things like that. But those are some of the things we are seeing as far as, how COVID has affected the wing.
That's important to stress. I know you talked about it earlier, but dependents can also talk to you.
Yes, I can see dependents. So I have a number of dependents that have reached out that have, their spouse is deployed.
Sure. And
so they're going through stress because their spouse's deployment or what have you. So, I hope to get the word about that out more so because I feel like they just need the help and they just need someone to talk to because some spouses don't have family members close. They may not have relationships around them and things like that can help. So definitely, letting people know that I can see their dependents and I can see their children too.
What's a good number to reach you at?
So a great number to reach me at is my work cell. So that is 618-363-1426.
All right, we'll put that in the description of this podcast so that folks know to get a hold of you. And you also, we need to mention that you also have a Facebook page.
Yes, we have a Helping Agencies Facebook page. Yes.
And you have some services. You kind of lay out some services and some help with what do you guys do on that page?
Right. So on that page we have we have different posts about coping skills. I do a video, once a month on maybe depression or stress or like helping with insomnia, things like that. We have the Airman and Family Readiness. They do additional resources, maybe with finances, different things like that. We've had the chaplains do services on the
that's nice.
on the Facebook page as well. So yeah, we post try to post some different things on there. So definitely check it out, and we are linked to the 126 page.
Yes, you are. You definitely are. What are some coping skills that can help us with the feelings of anxiety and depression that a lot of people are feeling right now, like you had mentioned? What are some of those coping skills?
So as far as the coping skills for like, especially with anxiety and depression, is you want to make sure you're getting enough rest. If you're not getting enough rest, you're not functioning well. The anxiety can get worse, so the depression can get worse. With COVID, I think we're isolated more, so we try to reach out to family and friends more if we can. If we're at work, maybe try to engage in relationships at work and friendships and things like that. So social engagement. Sleeping well is, I can't tell you how, again, just so essential that is to your well-being. Regular exercise. So one goal of mine for the year is to try to exercise 3 times a week and eat better. But so 3 times a week, it increases endorphins that help us to feel better. So the exercise really helps too. And I think the other thing is just, not focusing on negativity. I think sometimes we're just being a human being, we focus on the negative and we focus on the things that are going wrong and not always the things that are going right. But we do have, basic essentials. We do have a job. We do have health and family, and just, feeling those positive things in your life too is important. So more positive thinking versus negative thinking.
Sometimes it's easier said than done.
Yes,
How do you get out of a rut like that sometimes? It's just like, man, it can really, seems like it, for some people, it can snowball.
Right. The feelings can definitely snowball. And I think, and then if you can't get out of the rut by yourself, maybe talking to a counselor or talking to a chaplain. We have the chaplains here too as well. But I think, one of the things I've noticed with the COVID is people are not in routine and they're not in structure as much as they were before. So if you are at home, working from home, those of you that are working from home, try to have a routine, try to have some structure. Get up every day, eat your breakfast, get your coffee, get your shower, get dressed, and then, go to work for the day, do the things. So staying in that routine will also help you get out of that rut and that negative thinking, working on the negative thinking. And then I always encourage spirituality. Now, spirituality doesn't necessarily have to be that you believe in a certain God or whatever, but it could be, spirituality could be relationships, spirituality could be nature, things like that. So engaging in spirituality or whatever being you worship could be helpful in getting out of that rut too, because you feel that being, might help you, would be powerful in helping you to get out of your depression.
Right. You mentioned goals earlier, and that can help us get out of that rut and start maybe thinking a little bit more positive in this time, especially, not even just this times of COVID, but this time of winter. What are some? How can we start and try to keep with our goals?
Okay, so I definitely am in favor of New Year's resolutions. I know we always hear that and say that, but trying to think of a goal for the new year. You don't want to overwhelm yourself with too many goals.
Right.
You want to pick something that's achievable to you. It might be a financial goal, maybe getting out of debt. It might be relationship goal, working on your marriage or working on a friendship. It could be a career goal, maybe getting promoted or doing your CDCs or things that you need to do for your career. Or it could be education, maybe finishing your degree, things like that. And then you also want to write down your goals. So writing things down, there's a real connection between writing things down and getting things done. Because, we're in our head a lot. We think a lot. And so I might think about, working out 3 days a week. But if I write it down on my desk in the corner of my desk every day and look at it, it's a little bit different. And so writing it down is important. And then try to do something towards that goal every day. So, just one achievable thing you can do every day. And then share your goal with someone, because that could be encouraging to them. And then it also provides accountability. So if I said, hey, Brian, I'm going to work out 3 days a week, and you see me walking down the hall and you say, hey, Linda, how you doing with your workout schedule, and I might go, oh, wow, I haven't done that in a while. And, it just encourages me. It's just encouraging.
Sure, yeah. I mean, one of my goals is just try to get out of the house like 5 minutes earlier than I usually do, just so that I'm not rushing down the highway, let's say. I get here on time, a couple minutes before 7, but I'd like to be here just a little bit earlier. So I'm trying to work on that, getting out of the house maybe at 6 o'clock instead of 6. Well, I tried 6 o'clock, and I was like, well, maybe that's too big from 6:10. So let's go back to 6:05, get out of the house by 6:05. So I'm working towards that, making these small, achievable goals one step at a time.
Yes, very good.
Yeah. You talked about some of the services, and we have to talk about the big service, I guess you could call him, is Benji.
Yes, Benji.
Benji just showed up out of, it seems like nowhere last year that he
last
he
December.
Came?
He's been with us for a year.
Yeah. Benji, what do you do? Besides look cute and lay around and let us pet you.
Benji, come here.
Come here, bud.
Come on up.
You want to talk? No? Yeah.
Come on. Benji, come here. Come up here.
So we have Benji here, and Benji just kind of laying in the studio, just kind of chilling out with his...
Benji is...
Yeah, he's got his patches on. And so how did Benji come into the wing?
So Benji, so some of my colleagues have therapy dogs, and so I got information about how to obtain a therapy dog. So he's actually called a facility therapy dog. So he's not my therapy dog per se.
Right.
So there was a lengthy application, and because I work for the military, they were willing to donate him to the wing.
Right.
And he's from southwestern guide dogs in Palmetto, Florida. So.
Oh,
Benji,
wow.
Yeah, Benji comes from Florida, and so he's been trained since he's been a puppy, so he's been in 2 years of training.
Wow.
And it's mostly obedience training, but he does this thing called lean in when I have patients, and he'll kind of lean in on you if you're stressed or depressed or anxious.
I guess I'm not depressed. He's walking away from me.
Yeah. Well, he was leaning in on you earlier.
He was. Yeah, maybe now I'm calm. I do get a little stressed before interviews.
Right. So he does kind of that lean in on thing, with patients, and then we go around to units and we visit members of the wing, and they love him. They just love seeing him and petting him and things like that. So he's been a real great addition to my services here. And he loves everyone, and they love him, and he's been really good. So, and he's just very lovable. He's very disciplined.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me the other day, does he bark?
It's a golden retriever thing. Not many golden retrievers bark, from what I understand.
Yeah, he does bark sometimes when somebody's at the door at our house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but that's the only
my
time.
dog doesn't even do that.
Yeah,
my dog growls like Chewbacca.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. So does he help out in your caseload or in your meetings with people? Does he kind of open people up when?
So he does, and I do have members that will come by, and sometimes they'll just say, hey, I want to come by and see Benji, and then they'll say, oh, by the way, I got something else I got to talk to you about. So I feel like it has opened a door for more members to come in and see me, and because there's a stigma with mental health, definitely a stigma. And so I feel like having Benji has really helped that too. So, and the other thing we have too is we have massage chairs.
Oh yeah, that's right.
There were 2 massage chairs purchased for the psychological health program. So one is in my office. And so all my clients that come in can use the massage chair. It's a full body massage chair.
Oh, nice.
And then there's one in the recruiters building. I can't remember the number, but
5010.
5010. Yeah, there's one in 5010 in the recruiter's office. So anybody can go in and use it. There's an 8-minute quick relaxation mode that you can put it on, and it's great. So I encourage everybody to try to use that.
Do you spend most of your day in it?
Yeah, actually, I do. No.
Like you said, there's kind of a stigma with mental health.
Yes.
But you have certain protections for people that want to seek you out.
Yes, I do. And I do have to abide by HIPAA guidelines. So, because it is a medical service. So the confidentiality, people do, when you talk with the director of psychological health, myself, it is confidential. There is a caveat to that. And the caveat is, so the only way it wouldn't be confidential is if somebody was homicidal or suicidal. Obviously, we would have to talk to command and the medical group. If they were in some sort of treatment or inpatient treatment, we would have to talk to the commander medical group. If they were a risk to the mission, then, we have to talk to the commander medical group. So, but if it's just somebody coming in, feeling a little depressed, I get a lot of people that have relationship problems.
Sure.
And so we talk about that and we talk about coping skills, or if it's somebody just coming in with a coworker issue or a work issue, it's totally confidential. My files are actually separate. And so if it's not a medical file, or if it's not a medical issue, then it's confidential in my filing cabinet. So medical doesn't even know who comes to see me. So it is confidential in that aspect.
What would you say to somebody who's interested in coming to talk to you, but maybe feeling a little shy about it, let's say?
Yeah. So, I think it's hard to talk with somebody you don't even know about private and intimate things.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that, making sure that you had all the information about the confidentiality and you understand that. And I do go over that with clients. There's a statement of understanding that we do. We do a full psychological health assessment when they come in and things like that. So I ask them a lot of questions and things like that. So, and we can just meet and do a consultation just, off the record. And if they say, hey, I don't want to do this, then, that's okay. There's no, I'm not a mandatory service, so nobody can be mandatory and say you have to go see Linda Schuh. So we can do a consultation, and if they think, hey, this is for me, great, I'm going to make an appointment, or hey, I think maybe I'm going to go to Military One Source and get my 12 free sessions a year, I'm going to go do that. So that's something else, they can do. So some different options there.
You mentioned earlier that you can see people 3 to 5 times. What is that? Is that like a TRICARE thing, or what does that mean?
Well, it's meant to be short-term solution-focused counseling.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not going to do, necessarily treatment per se. There's different protocols for treatment, like PTSD and things like that might take, 6 months to 8 months to do. So I'm not going to see somebody for a year-long treatment per se. Right. When I say 3 to 5 sessions, it could be 3 to 10 sessions, 3 to 12 sessions. I'm not set on 3 to 5 sessions, however long it takes, but I'm not the therapist or the person that you're going to be doing therapy for the rest of your life,
sure,
so to speak.
Yeah. If, just something came to my head, beginning of the year, and I don't see a lot of smokers nowadays, but somebody's interested in stopping smoking. Can you kind of maybe guide them through that, or what can you help them with that?
Yeah, we can do education, we can do smoking cessation, education, things like that. There's different services, things they can do to quit and things like that. There's relaxation, guided imagery, things like that we can do. Nicotine's an addiction, and it really does have some people, quite addicted. So that's something we could certainly talk about. Yeah.
When new commanders come in and things like that, what's your message? What are your messages to commanders and supervisors about what you do and what you, I guess kind of what you do, but how to guide them into sending troops your way, I guess?
Well, when new commanders come in, I make sure to meet them and explain to them, what the services are and how to make referrals and things like that. But most of all, I suggest, getting, especially, if somebody is, with first sergeants, they have a lot of troops. But if you're a supervisor, get to know your troop, how are you doing? How's school? How's the family? Things like that. Getting to know your troop, I think, is the way to help them. And then just not being afraid to refer them out for services and kind of reassuring them about that confidentiality piece, because I think, again, that's where we get the stigma. And so when I think about supervisors really, encouraging them, and I do have supervisors calling me and they say, I have this situation and what do I do about this? Can this person come to see you? So they can call me and do consultations and things like that too. So, but knowing me, knowing where to reach me, knowing the resources, things like that is very, very important. So having my phone number, email, in your phone is really a good thing if you're a supervisor, first sergeant, or commander.
So kind of going back to people that want to see you.
Yes.
It's confidential.
Yes.
How does someone tell their supervisor that I'm going to go over to Med Group and speak with Linda?
Well, they don't. It depends on what status they're in. If they're in a traditional status, they can come over and see me and say I'm going to go to the medical group. They don't necessarily have to say I'm going to see Linda Schuh, the social worker. They can say I'm going over to medical group for an appointment. So
Okay.
There's some confidentiality there. During the week is a little different. I've had some people say they have to take, time off or take leave. It just depends on your supervisor and how they work that.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, you can, if you're okay with saying I'm going to come over and see Linda Schuh for a counseling appointment, that's fine. If not, you can say I'm just going over to Med Group for an appointment. And so there's confidentiality that way as well.
That's good. Is there anything else that I have not asked, or anything else that you would like to add that you can think of?
I just like to add that I really enjoy my job. I really enjoy the wing. When I came on, it'll be 6 years in April. I was working in mental health setting, doing sitting in an office with no windows, seeing 8 patients a day. And so, which is fine, but now I can go out of my office, I can visit troops, I can do counseling. I also do suicide prevention programs.
Oh, sure.
So that's been an important role as well. So what I really like about the job is the variety and just the autonomy that I have. It's been really good for me, and I think even my mental health, as far as career choices and the way forward for myself. So really, really enjoy the wing and enjoy helping the members.
You said you were National Guard. Why did you choose to work? You could have worked anywhere in the St. Louis area. Why did you choose to come work here at the wing as a social worker?
I feel like, the National Guard for me was kind of like a family. I mean, you don't really PCS, you don't really go anywhere, you stay in the same area. And so I really learned a lot from my National Guard unit, working with them and being with them. And so I felt like, one thing is, I would not be where I am today had I not joined the military. And so I feel like some of it is even just giving back, to the military. They gave me the structure. They gave me the organization. They gave me the skills. They paid for my college, So part of it, I think, is giving back. But I just really like the military community, and I understand it. It took me a little while to go from the acronyms from Army to Air Force, but
yes.
I'm working it. So, but I really enjoy the job and the population, and I can't imagine going back to the mental health of 8 patients a day. Not for me anymore.
Are you from the St. Louis area, or? Where are you from?
Well, originally I'm from near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Grew up there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then joined the Army in 1989. Traveled to Germany twice, and then lived in Alabama for a couple of years. Got out in 94, got married, and then went to school and joined the National Guard. So originally from Pennsylvania, but I've lived now in Edwardsville, Illinois for about 22 years. So I guess I'm from there now.
All right. I think that's it. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that is it. I just want to wish everyone a happy new year, and get your goals ready, your resolutions ready. And if you have any questions or need anything, Benji and I are only a phone call away.
And what's that phone number?
618-363-1426.
All right. Thanks for joining us today. Linda Schuh, the Director of Psychological Health.
With your look around the Air Force, I'm Senior Airman Angelo Rosario. The Air Force's COVID-19 vaccination program is making progress in the new year. Select medical professionals and first responders are getting the first dose of the vaccine at installations across the globe. The first dose is going to people considered Tier 1 professionals or essential workers. Stage 1 of the COVID vaccination plan is based on DoD prioritization, which is consistent with the Centers for Disease Control's guidance. One commander says the vaccine is a critical addition to current health measures that will both protect the community and preserve the ability to accomplish the mission. Vaccines will be administered on a rolling basis as supplies become more readily available. Airmen are still urged to take regular precautions to slow the spread of COVID-19 by wearing appropriate masks, practicing social distancing, and hand washing. Mentorship is critical in the development of airmen as they progress through their careers. The Air Force is working to provide mentorship programs across all career fields to further development. General Arnold Bunch Jr., commander of Air Force Materiel Command, shared his thoughts on what it takes to be an effective mentor.
A lot of times being a great mentor isn't immediately coming up on the net with an answer to what ought to be done. It's listening and understanding what the airman wants to do for their development, and sharing then in a non-threatening manner and having a conversation and just educating a little bit.
The Air Force Materiel Command Mentorship Program encourages mentors to share first-person stories and experiences working through challenges to better airmen. And that's your look around the Air Force.
I cannot wait to get the vaccine so I can go back to concerts and see live sports like the Cardinals, Blues, and the number 24, St. Louis Billikens. I was thinking about it this morning. I just feel like we've been in suspended animation over the past year, just kind of like hanging out, like, okay, just tell us when to go again so that we can get on with our lives and do the things that we love to do. If you want to know if we're having a snow day or a delayed start, you can call the Scott Air Force Base Information Hotline, 618-256-7232. The Scott Air Force Base Facebook page. You can also check our 126 The Air Refueling Wing page. Or you know what? You know what you could also do? I have a very simple solution. Just call your supervisor. Maybe they know. Hopefully they know. There's more information on inclement weather on our 126 The Air Refueling Wing Facebook page, Twitter or Instagram, or you can go to all three and read it all at 3 different times if you want. I know, man, we had some snow earlier during drill, actually. It looked, I thought it looked pretty promising, man, there for a minute, and it didn't last long. You can find all of our links to our webpage and Facebook at linktr.ee/126ARW. Stop by our Facebook page and answer our Ask an Airman question for this month. What are your goals for 2021? If you're watching on Facebook or Instagram, don't forget, you can also download this on your favorite podcast app. My goal for this year, I have 2 goals for this year. Finish my PMEs and get promoted to E7, Master Sergeant, and ride 5,000 miles. Thanks for listening to Roll Call, a 126th Air Refueling Wing podcast focused on people, mission, and community. I'm Tech Sergeant Brian Ellison.